Hi everyone, this is Canny Couple. I'm Julia, Aaron's behind the camera, and today I want to show you the easiest way to put hash browns in your freezer for the future. But before we get started, we would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. So, potatoes, or as we call them here in the South, taters. You'll hear me refer to these as taters, just saying. We had an abundance of these in our garden. A lot of people do, and a lot of people are actually able to store these in their home. We have learned through much trial and error and lost potatoes that we do not store potatoes very well in our home. We've tried a dozen different methods, a dozen different ways, and it just does not work for us. So we have actually found it makes a lot more sense for us to go ahead and preserve the potato while it still is beautiful and pretty and nice and solid before it actually starts to get eyes on, it starts to shrivel up or just flat out rots. And a lot of times, which this year Aaron did an amazing job. He dug up all our potatoes. This year he had very few, only like one crate, maybe 15-20 pounds that were actually had slices in them from digging.
Yes.
So if you're digging potatoes, you're most likely going to have some that get bruised, damaged, that you need to use up immediately. You can also do this here. But this is one of our favorite ways to preserve potatoes, and that is to make freezer hash browns. So you can use these for casseroles. We eat them for breakfast once a month, maybe twice, two or three.
Depending how many we have.
Depending on how many we have. If I don't have enough, I'll ration. But I do try to make sure we have enough to have at least twice a month to have a small side of hash browns in the morning for breakfast, and we absolutely love them. This year I'm hoping to have enough that I can actually put away a couple gallon bags of hash browns for long-term meal prep later in the future, so I don't actually have to use other potatoes, because they make the best hash brown and sausage casserole. So it's very easy. There's so many directions out there on how to make hash browns. This one is the absolute best you have. You're going to take a potato and clean it, get it good and clean, wash it, do what you need to, and cut off any bad spots. So you're going to see here, I have a variety of potatoes. Some of them are half peeled, some of them are peeled all the way. You have these that weren't peeled at all. I just cut it in half so I can run it through. It doesn't matter. You just want to get off any spots, anything that you don't want to eat in the future. So if you have a whole bunch of eyes, I'll peel those off, any bad spots, anything like that. If it got cut with the hoe, I'll cut that end off. The potato is still good. It just needs to be used now. So you're going to take your potato and you're going to bake it in the oven. You're going to coat it in a little olive oil. You can do salt, but if you add salt later, I would hold off on salt. You're going to bake it in the oven for about an hour until it's fork tender, like you would bake a potato. Put it in the refrigerator for 24 hours, but no more than 48. If you go over 48, something about refrigerating the potato for that long, I have found, will dry the potato out. It seems to get a weird, I'm sorry, my nose is wanting to run a bit. You see how this one kind of has a bit of a hole in it? It's kind of like they'll dry out a bit. So you want to be very careful about that. You're going to put them in the refrigerator and you're just going to let them sit. Then the next day you're going to process, and it's so easy. So I used to use a regular grater, and you can, but I have found this little rotary grater. It's like 20 bucks on Amazon. Has been the best thing I've ever got in my entire life for this. Saves my fingers and it goes so fast. And this is just my preferred grate here. And you're going to notice you get all these little pieces. Don't throw these away. Don't compost them. Put them aside. You could put them in a freezer bag. Use those for potato soup. And we're just going to keep going. Trays do the best for me here. I like trays. I use trays for everything. You are going to see these trays so many times with me because they work so good for all kinds of projects. So we're just going to get a few. See how fast this is going? And because the potato is soft where you baked it, it just rolls right through. We're going to go ahead and get all of these done. And then just periodically, if you have one of these, just kind of take it back and forth. You can take it off. I have just found if I just move it back and forth. It works really well. Now, I have enough potatoes and I have enough in here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a deep cake pan and you want to line it with parchment paper. Do not use wax paper. Ask me how I know. How many hours do you think I spent picking wax paper off potatoes?
A long time.
It was a very long time. So do not use wax paper. We found out the hard way. So you're going to take a couple handfuls and you're just going to lay it in. You do not want to do these thick. You want to do these super thin. And this might seem like a lot of work, but trust me, when you actually eat these and you have them with some butter and a hot skillet and some salt and the potato, it's potato that's on my hands. And then you're going to cut another piece. Press it down. You want to make sure you have enough to hold it, especially if you have fans going on in your kitchen, because the fan will blow your parchment paper. And you're just going to repeat to the depth of your pan. And then what you're going to do is you're going to stick it in your freezer for 24 hours. After 24 hours, this will actually pop right out and you can pre-fill your bags. I actually use sandwich bags. It's a good size for Aaron, me, and Isabel. And then we stick that into gallon bags. So I'll have like 6 sandwich bags, depending on how many we do, how big of a serving I do. You can even measure this out. So if you want 2 cups, you can do 2 cups into a sandwich bag and then rinse and repeat. You can, like I said, you can do it in gallon bags, but what it's going to do is when you freeze it, it's going to be frozen in small sections. You're not going to have a huge chunk of the hash browns that you're going to have to deal with. Now you could probably do it inside of a baggie and put like a little bit of amount and lay it out, but I think it's more work than just doing this. And you can reuse the parchment paper for your next round. You can use this a few times actually. You're going to know when it starts to fall apart, but this works so well. I've done this for hash browns. I have done it for shredded zucchini. Anything that you need like a thin layer of, this is the best method I have found. And the deeper your pan, the higher you can go. So you don't want to go too much higher than your pan because it will spill over. Stick it in your freezer 24 hours. You've got hash browns ready to go in the freezer for future meals. I can't tell you how much this has saved our family. When we first did potatoes, and we actually had some, and we tried to store them downstairs in the basement. Aaron came up one day, he's like, we've got eyes, we've got eyes, we've got eyes on the potatoes. And we had to figure out what to do. And this was one of the things that came up, and we would love hash browns in the morning.
Yeah. And you just do this like a frozen hash brown, then you just cook it
but
up.
they're so much better.
Yeah.
So
it's
much
not,
better.
Not comparison.
And I can't, and if you do get some that clump up in the bag, it's okay. They still cook up. They just don't do as good. They really don't. But you want them to be in a really thin layer, and it's just going to work out really well. I can't even begin to tell you how much this has helped us, how much time this has saved me, especially on a busy morning. You can make hash browns by boiling the potato. You can do raw potatoes, but you have to drain them. Did you notice I didn't do any draining here? I didn't do any patting, getting all the water out. This takes all that out. All you're doing is you're putting it on a pan, putting it in the freezer, and then into a bag. It takes out all the extra guesswork, all the other work you have to do. I don't have to soak the potatoes. I don't have to do anything. So this is by far my favorite, best, easiest method. I actually use the baking of the potatoes for all of my potato freezer storage needs. I do it for all my diced potatoes. I've done the blanching. It takes too much time. It takes too much time. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. Whereas I can throw things into the oven and let it do. And I could tell you, we could tell no difference in the taste at all compared to if I boiled those potatoes or not. What would you say, Aaron?
I totally agree. I mean, it's like you're getting them fresh out of the garden and fixing them up.
It is. And I will tell you, this year for these potatoes, I actually used my roaster for these. And I've done twice as many potatoes that roaster will fit as many potatoes as I could fit on pans in my oven. It has been so helpful, and it's just an 18 quart. So I can't even imagine what you could do if you had a couple 20-some quarts. You could really get a lot of potatoes done. And like I said, it takes time. It does take a little bit of time, but for me, it's not as much as it was before, especially with the few hacks. The parchment paper is the biggest one I could tell you, and this thing right here has been a lifesaver when it comes to this. I used to just use the regular grater. Like I said, you can. If you have potatoes that you got to use because they're going to go bad for whatever reason, try this. You will not regret it. It will be so good. They are the best freezer hash browns you can make, and they are definitely a family favorite for us. Anything else to add?
No, just I'm excited to have some hash browns soon.
With hot sauce?
Yes.
A little hot sauce on these, get them nice and crispy, and butter. Oh man, they're so good. Just so good. You can also do them any way you like to eat hash browns. I know a lot of people do them in the oven. A lot of people do them different ways. We really just do a little pan frying in a skillet with grease. So that's the way we like ours in our house. But we hope you give this a try. How do you like to put away potatoes for long-term storage? Do you have a better method? I'd love to hear it. If you would leave it in the comments down below. If you have any questions, anything you want to see from us, please email me at thecannycouple@yahoo.com. Check out our link tree where we have all of our other content. And as always, thank you for joining us on The Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.